Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be doing yet another winter thoughts video. There are so many thoughts going across my head, and I feel the need to make so many of these videos lately. We're going to be talking about a lot in this video, so stay tuned for that. Now, before I get started with this video, though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends, family, and social media. Now, I would also ask that you check out our very exciting Patreon page in the description and the pinned comment down below. Now, for today's comment of the day, we're going to be going over analogs throughout this video, just years that I think compare to this year very well. So I want to know, what is your top analog? Which one do you think is going to compare to this year the best? I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Now, let's get into this video, and we're going to take a look at this year so far. So we're taking a look at, well, today, and this is the sea surface temperatures we're dealing with. And it's a very odd one because we have very warm in the northern Pacific, and then we have a weaker to moderate La Nina going on down there, which is our blues, that deep blues in the southern Pacific there. Both of these usually don't happen at the same time. I will say that usually if we have a La Nina, usually that'll bring colder sea surface temperatures up there to the North Pacific near the coast of North America. So it's really tough to find analogs that fit this description really well. I tried my best though, and we'll see that later on in the video. Here's our Nino 3.4 index as well. This is very crucial because this is telling us how strong our La Nina is. On this graph, you can see that very deep black line. That's our basically neutral line. We're at about -1, maybe just below -1, and it's only going to get weaker throughout the winter. So we're going to be dealing with a weaker La Nina over the course of our winter this year. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to move on. We're going to just get right into our analogs, like I said. So we're going to take a look at the sea surface temperature for each of these years I've collected, and then their December, January, and February temperatures. And we're just going to go over all of these. It's going to be very fun. Now, it's important to note that analogs aren't everything. Last year had very good analogs to compare to, the same with the year before that, and we know how those two winters ended up. Now, this winter is kind of shaping up the opposite right now. We're taking a look at 2010, December 2010, and as you can see, we had the cold La Nina there, and then the Pacific was more neutral. We did have some colder near the coast. Again, it's very tough to find ones that had La Ninas and warmer near the coast. So some of these we had to kind of just sacrifice that little factor there because there's very minimal amounts of La Ninas coupled with the warmer Pacific up in the northern Pacific. Here's the December of that year. As you might know, there was a giant blizzard that December. We call it the Boxing Day blizzard. And that was one of our more major East Coast storms we've had in recent years. And by recent, I mean even maybe the past 20 years. So this December was very cold. I will say that. But as we get towards January, it was slightly below normal, nothing crazy anymore. And then February was more neutral, with the West being the colder area of the United States by that point. Overall, this was one of the better La Nina winters we've seen for cold and snow lovers in the East. And I'm just going to tell you right now, that's probably the best one we're going to go over in this entire video, and I have many, many more to come. So next, we're going to move on, and we're going to talk about 2016 to 2017 as our next analog. So here we go. We're taking a look at December of 2016 sea surface temperatures. So I want to see the sea surface temperatures and how they began. And as you can see, this one was a weaker La Nina, maybe even weaker than what we were dealing with this year. But we just had to sacrifice, because this one in the North Pacific, it looked very similar. We have the warmer near the coast. That's definitely what we're dealing with now. So this one is pretty close as well. The warm Atlantic as well is very similar to this year. So 2016 to 2017 is a really good analog so far. Let's take a look at December. And as you can see, in the East, it was kind of mixed. And it has that colder Pacific Northwest, which is expected this year. So this is looking kind of similar so far. And then bad news. January, very warm in the East and very cold in the West. Same story for February, except it gets even worse. 10 to 15 degrees above average Fahrenheit for the entire month of February in 2017. I will say this, though, March did get a little colder. I'm going to add March on this one because New England, the Northeast, did deal with some colder temperatures there in March of 2017. So it did lighten up quite a little bit. All right. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to move on. We're going to take a look at our next analog, which is going to be 2005 to 2006. All right, now here we are taking a look at that next analog, and as you can see, this one had a stronger La Nina, but it's pretty similar. It's actually about a 1 degree to 1.5 degree below normal there in our ENSO, and it's also east-based, similar to this year. and then also a warmer North Pacific. I think this is probably the best comparison, just according to sea surface temperatures. If you were to put this side by side with what this winter, well, what we're looking like right now, this is very, very close. So let's just go ahead and look at December, and things got to a pretty cold start, slightly below normal temperatures in the east. Same story for up through the Rockies and the Pacific Northwest. Warm in the Southwest, and then warm for the upper Midwest, as well as neutral there in New England, it appears. And then by the time we get to January, very warm. Now, I will say, most winter, I've looked at almost every single winter analog before from 1970s till now, and almost every single winter has at least one warm month. And I know a lot of people are dreaming of a very cold December, January, and February, but it is extremely rare to have all 3 months very cold. So on that note, let's move towards February, and as you can see, it's not quite so bad. So that January is kind of the winter thaw. You might have heard that term before. It's very typical in a winter time. This would be pretty decent February. I'm just going to say this is much colder than what last year's winter months looked like. So we would have to just take this, and you would probably be thankful because this was, there was snow this year, unlike last year for many regions. Now, our next analog is 1988 to 1989, and this is kind of going way back, but we had a La Nina. We had some cold in the North Pacific, but also some warmth, so it compares a little bit. This is probably the least good comparison here, especially since that La Nina is further west than it is this year. That's a big player. But let's just go through and take a look at these months. December, pretty cold there for the eastern United States, and pretty cold for the Southwest as well. Usually you don't see those two having cold months at the same time, but warm in the central United States. Very interesting. January, we get that winter thaw again. Remember, I told you there's usually one warm month each winter, and you've probably noticed that throughout this video. Each year I've shown has at least one warm month. Let's move towards February of 1989, and as you can see, it gets cold again. Generally for the East Coast, it was slightly below normal, and then the further inland you go, the colder it was. So this was very cold in the central and northwest. I see that being very likely this year of a month or two looking like this winter. So I'm just putting that out there. Also, they had the Southeast Ridge, which looks to be establishing itself this year in the Southeast. And then let's go ahead, and what we're going to do is we're going to move on, and we're going to move on towards our final analog here, which is going to be 2017 to 2018. So there's been a lot of recent ones that have looked pretty similar to this, and that's typical because we're, these anomalies in the oceans, they don't change very, very fast. Actually, a lot of them take, 10 plus years to break patterns. So we're in a lot of the same patterns we were in the mid 2010s. That's why a lot of those winters really match up well to this one. So what we're going to do is we're going to move on. We're going to take a look at that. And also as a bonus, we're going to take a look at all of the winters we've gone over in this video combined. So we're going to put them all together and take a look at what December through February looked like on all of those years put together. Now, on our final analog here, we're taking a look at 2017 to 2018. Now, we have that La Nina, very similar La Nina actually, and a very similar Pacific. So this one and the 2005 one I think are the strongest matches. This one is really good. The warm Atlantic, that's what we're dealing with. The very warm Pacific near the coast, it can't really decide if it's a negative PDO or a positive PDO, and that's very similar to what we're in right now. So the resemblance here is incredible, actually. Let's just take a look at December, and it wasn't half bad, really. I'm telling you guys, compared to last winter and the winter before it, if we had just 1 month that looked like this, it would be leagues ahead of what those two previous winters were like. It really would, and we can't get greedy here, guys. The snow lovers, I'm a snow lover, I'm a cold lover. If we only get one cold month and we get some snow, we gotta take it. It's just much better than the previous 2 years. Here's January, and again, just not half bad. There's no deep cold coming from Canada, but it's cold. That's all that matters at this point. And the warm in the west for both of those first 2 months. We had actually cold in the Pacific Northwest in December, but that kind of changes here for January. And then February was a little bit of that thaw. Again, you do usually see 1 month that is warmer, and this is that month. So in this year, we had it in 2018. We had it in February. Most of the other years we had it in January and then a colder February, but this one's kind of the opposite. So even in a very cold winter, we see that winter thaw month very typically. It's unusual to see 3 solid cold months in a winter. It does happen. I think 2013 to 2014 would be a year that would be an example of that. But those winters don't come very frequently. Notice we have that colder Pacific Northwest into the central United States. That's very typical in a La Nina. And this would be a solid winter. 2017 to 2018 wasn't half bad. Same story with 2016 to 2017. That's the only winters I can really remember since I was in 2010. I kind of remember that one, but before that, it's just I was too young. But 2016 through 2018, those winters weren't really half bad. We saw snow, we saw some cold. They weren't like brutal, but they also weren't torches. So I would take that in a heartbeat. I don't know about you guys. Let me know in the comments if you would hate that. But I think pretty much at this point, anybody would take that type of a winter. Now, for the worst news of this entire video, let's put them all together. And this is the results if you put together the December through February of 1988 to 1989. 2016 to 2017, 2010 to 2011, 2005 to 2006, and 2017 to 2018. This is what you get. And really, it's not half bad. This isn't like a torch. You can see it's only about, in those yellows, it's only about a degree above average, so nothing crazy. Very cold there for Montana through the Dakotas, so my analogs at this point think that's very likely. But this is obviously a significant difference from my winter forecasts I put out in the previous month, and that's because our oceans are just now starting to really change and get into their winter mode. So we're seeing these changes, and I'm having to adjust to that. And at this point, I've found the analogs that match, and it's looking a lot more receded than my original expectations. So I think that we're going to have a stronger southeast ridge that could bring overall some warmth for the entire eastern third of the United States. But I do think that there will be 1 to 2 months in the winter where we do just see overall cold in the east. I don't think we're going to have a torch of a winter like we did in 2018 to 2019 and also 2019 to 2020. I do not think we're going to have winters that are that warm. And that's the good news. Really, in my experience and from what I know, it doesn't have to be a below average temperature year for you to see above average snowfall. A lot of times you see a little bit of a warmer winter, but there's cold snaps in there that allow for the snowstorms to come through. All it takes is a cold day or two with a storm coming through, and you could get a massive snowstorm. It doesn't have to be cold on the entire month. So a lot of these years were a lot more snowy than they look on the temperatures, according to the entirety of all of the months. So I just want to point that out as well. It's very important. Now, in about 2 weeks, I'm going to be updating my winter forecast, and there is going to be big changes, more in this direction. I'm just warning you guys, it's going to look a little bit warmer in the east, a little bit warmer in the south, and a little bit colder in the northwest and the north central United States. But again, I do not think we're going to be having a terrible warm winter like we did the previous 2 years, and that's the only good news I have to give you cold and snow lovers at this point. Anyway, guys, for today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, do you think that we're going to have a major snowstorm before the end of October? And Cat Mama said, the way this year is going, a major multi-state blizzard on November 3rd would not be a surprise. I don't know why this person had that specific of a date, but I love it. And apparently 75 other people did. I like the comment as well, liked this comment. And I think that it's interesting to make a prediction that specific, and I'm very curious to see if that will pan out. So I picked that one for that reason. Anyway, for today's patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our diamond patrons, Alicia Davis, Madbirds, Dan Hazard, Cindy Klein, and Mark J, alongside our platinum patrons, Donna Carnes and Larry LePan. Anyway, one final note, I just want to let you guys know, I know a lot of people are going to be upset that I was forecasting something earlier on, and then now we're seeing changes and I'm changing it. A lot of people would like to see me stick to my guns. But if I see changes, I'm not going to just stick with my forecast if I think it's going to be wrong. I will change my forecast and put my pride aside every single time. 10 out of 10 times, that's what I'm doing. So if you don't like that, I apologize, but that's just how I've run this channel for the past 2 or 3 years that I've been doing it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends, family, and social media. I will see you guys in the next video.